Welcome. Great to have you back again. This is so fun for me to be able to take a listen to the questions that um, I get asked verbally, also those that are sent in to me. Sometimes people call me with questions, and so I'm really grateful to have a chance to connect with you in this format. I welcome everybody who is viewing live, and I also want to put a special shout out to all of you who are watching the replay because life gets busy, and sometimes we have to remember we can only be one place, and that works best if it's where our feet are. So welcome in if you are joining us after this initial broadcast. So I am thrilled with the questions that have come in, as I've mentioned. I want to introduce myself if you're new to my work. I'm Mary Jo Feely. I am the owner of Fourth Dimension Healing in Stillwater, Minnesota, which is where I have my energy and crystal healing practice. And I also have an online school, the Center for Crystal and Healing Studies, which is where I offer a variety of courses that are self-paced. They're blended, which means you work through the content at your own pace. And also there are times within the courses where you and I meet either individually in person or individually remotely, virtually, so that we can explore what you're experiencing as you move through the courses. And perhaps I'll talk a little bit more about my courses at the end if there's time, but otherwise you can always take a look at the links below this video and see what might be of interest to you. I do have some free mini courses, which are a great way to explore some of the healing arts in a way that helps you do some discerning as to what direction you might be curious about learning more about. So I think I'm going to jump right into the questions. I will do my best to remember to take a look at the chat window to see if any chats have come in. This is an unlisted live stream for the initial live stream, which means you can only access and join in the live stream if you have the link. And that's why you'll be able to have access to the chat. Once this replay is pushed out publicly, the chat will not be visible. So I just want you to know that if you feel like offering any questions, that will not be available to the public following up. Okay? So the first question I have, this is really good. And I feel like we've touched on this off and on through some of the other conversations. And I hope that you don't mind that every time a question comes in, I will always honor that question. I will answer that question. And also sometimes I might actually reference another video that I have. And if so, you might even see that pop up right kind of up at the top of the screen, one of those two corners of the screen where you can click on that. And that will take you to another video that I've referenced that you can learn more about a particular stone. Or let's say we're talking about some of the elements and how they work with the stones. You can learn about that too. So this first question says, I just started taking a writing class and feel like I'm stuck. My teacher tells us to just let the words flow and the ideas flow, but I can't seem to do this. Are there any crystals that could help me? Well, first of all, I'd like to say that whether it's a writing class, certainly this person's in a writing class, but we all have experienced times when we're stuck. We really can't quite get what we want to accomplish accomplished. So while I'm referencing and relating specifically to this question, it could be perhaps that something I'm offering could be a benefit to you too. I think I'll leave that question there in case I need to reference it back. So when we think about being stuck, that always brings to my awareness a question of like, where is the stuck energy? And I will often ask those who are working with me, my clients, I'll say, well, where do you feel this stuckness? So that can be a hint for you as to some of the stones that could help you. So let's say you're feeling this stuckness in your lower back. That is going to line up differently with your chakras than if you say, I feel this stuckness in my head. So if we're feeling something in the lower part of our body, it's going to typically be able to be supported in part by some of the stones that work with those particular chakras. So behind me is my little handy dandy chakra fabric. And so if we're working in these lower parts of the chakra system, it means we're going to be also working in the lower part of our physical body. If it's stuck up in our head, that's where we feel the stuckness. It's going to be much higher up, which of course you can't see right now the way the camera angle is. Okay. So that's always the question I want you to ask yourself is, okay, where is the stuckness? Then that can be addressed with perhaps stones related to the root chakra or stones related to the brow or the crown chakra. Yet in this specific question, here this person is saying, my teacher tells us to essentially just let the words and ideas flow. So two things come to my mind with that. First of all, I think of the second chakra, orange, okay? That second chakra is where we have those creative energies. And that's where that that action starts brewing. So if you are in the process of, in this case, writing, those creative ideas, that creative energy is stirring in that second chakra. And so working with stones that support that second chakra can be really helpful. Now, both the second and the third, so it's the sacral is the orange, and then the solar plexus is the third chakra. Both of those are fiery chakras. So since we're really working in that creative second chakra, my recommendation to this person who wrote this question is, let's take a look at a couple of fire stones that you could work with. And those are stones that resonate with fire. So one of my go-to fire stones is carnelian. And carnelian comes up from time to time. And so I will reference it. I may have referenced it even as recently as last month in our live Q&A. So this is a piece. I'm going to show you a couple pieces of carnelian because it shows up so differently. Carnelian is a form of agate, and it is made of silicon dioxide, so it's a form of quartz. It's a cryptocrystalline quartz, which means that we can't outwardly see all the structures that we would if we were looking at a large piece of, let's say, clear quartz with its points and all those beautiful arrangements. Yet it does still at a microscopic level have that same structure. So it's called a cryptocrystalline quartz, and it's a powerhouse. Here's another example. Sometimes they're going to be dark like the one I just showed you, and sometimes this is quite light and banded. I don't have a studio where I have some super uber amazing lighting, so I just show you these as an example. If you really want to get a sense of what some of these stones look like, I would say go ahead and Google them. You can go out to my online shop. I've got some photos there too, but if you really want to see what carnelian looks like, Google carnelian gemstone and you'll get the vastness of this beautiful stone. Carnelian is pretty reasonable. It's very easy to find, very abundant. And so it's one of those stones that I think is really a great one to have on hand. If you don't have it in a crystal toolkit, you might want to consider doing so. That will be very much a powerhouse to get that fiery energy moving in that second chakra. Another second chakra stone is citrine. So citrine, I've mentioned this before, perhaps even last month. Citrine shows up differently, whether it is heat treated, which means taking a piece of purple amethyst and heating it up after it's been unearthed, or natural citrine. This is a piece of heat treated citrine, and I work with both. There's nothing wrong with this. It's just important that you know what you've got. So if you have a piece of citrine that's here you can see fairly white, and then you have a fairly dark point, that's common citrine. So if you're buying this and being told it's natural citrine, that's actually not accurate. So just know what you've got. citrine also has this active fire energy. It's also a motivator kind of energy. So it could be that this person who wrote the question has these energies of creativity kind of stirring around in that second chakra and might be a little bit of a motivation to kind of let that energy move through. And I don't want to say push through because that seems like that's a kind of an aggressive kind of push where it's not ready to be moved. It's more of an allowing. Let this creative, manifesting kind of energy shift out of that second chakra. And this is a great stone to work with. So those are two of the fire element stones that I would say would be my go-to stones. Again, very easy to access, very easy to find. The other kind of stone that I think could be really helpful in this case, because again, the question was, my teacher just says, let the words and ideas flow. Okay. So we've got that creative energy, which we need first. Then we need to get those ideas flowing, those words flowing. So we're working with that throat chakra, which is the words. We're also working with the brow chakra, which is where we get this inspiration, where we get this ideas. And so a couple stones come to mind for that as well. One of them would be dumortierite. So dumortierite is a stone that's going to be very helpful to support that brow chakra. And when I'm talking about, let's say in this case, and we want to work with this kind of a stone, I think what could be amazing is if this person were to sit down in a very quiet space and have one of the fire stones in one of her hands or one of the upper chakra stones maybe in his other hand. Okay, so maybe they're going to do this, maybe they're going to do that, but to get that balance of both the fire and then the dumortierite being a wind element stone. So again, take a look up above. I don't know which way it's going to show up, but you are going to see it link to the wind element stone. So I want you to learn more. That's why I do these. I want you to be informed. I want you to be able to learn how to trust yourself when it comes to working with stones. And of course, we all ask questions, and also learning again how to return back to yourself to be able to help answer those questions. So dumortierite, really helpful for calming the mind and getting some inspiration. There's another wind element stone. It's called iolite. Now, iolite may look at first like it is amethyst, but it's not at all. It is not silicon dioxide. So this is a wonderful stone to support that brow, support that intuition. It's almost as if you have a way to calm things down and draw in more clarity. So and here's another example. It's got some of this beautiful veining. And again, check it out on my website if you want to see other pictures. So working with a piece of carnelian and a piece of iolite could be a wonderful way to be able to just sit for a little while, don't do anything. That's the biggest challenge I think that we have is we overthink and we overdo. We're busy, busy, busy. So slowing down and allowing ourselves to be in that place of not having an answer right away, and those answers will arise. So for this particular person, perhaps what they are doing is allowing themselves to settle and get help that sense of I should know how to write, and let that shift so that that creativity can come about. So those are a couple stones that I think could be really helpful for those brow spaces, and a couple stones to support the work of that second chakra. Now, another thing when it comes to expressing ourselves is that throat chakra. We can have all the creative ideas that are churning in that second chakra, and we've got the ideas in our brain and our head, and expressing that outwardly is what happens through that throat chakra. So yes, the throat chakra is an important energy center for expressing ourselves verbally. It's also a very important energy center as we learn how to effectively express ourselves non-verbally as well. And so I hope that answered that question. So let's see what this next one is. Oh, good. I love this question. This one is, I would have to say, one of my favorites because I love it because I get to dispel myths, and I really like that. So, so here is the question. What are your thoughts about stones that protect? What does that mean? And do you have any suggestions? All right, so here's my favorite response to anytime you hear anything about a stone offers protection or a stone will protect you from negative energy. There's no Hollywood boogeyman out there going to get us, okay? What we're thinking about and what perhaps would be helpful if we reframed our words when we form questions like this, and I do it too, is to, instead of the word protect, what if we were to say strengthen, and particularly strengthen our energy field? So I'm going to reread this. What are your thoughts about stones that strengthen the energy field? What does that mean? And do you have any suggestions? So it's the same principle. What we're doing is we're getting away from a word that says protection as if there's harm that's going to be caused if we don't act in a certain way. And so when I think of what we can do with this question about stones that protect, what we're talking about is working with stones, crystals, that are able to strengthen our energy field, which means we have got to be connected with the earth. We're spiritual beings. We're living a human experience. It is really important that we're embodied. That means what we do in life matters. And if we feel kind of spacey, and certainly, my goodness, we have so many challenges going on in the world today that it is very easy to want to escape and kind of just pull the covers over us and just not even think about things. It's so difficult. Yet to be able to stay present and strengthen our energy field, that helps us show up with compassionate hearts, kindness, and being loving and wise, right? We can connect with that inner wisdom if we are able to just be present and really grounded. So that's what it means when we're protecting ourselves. And there are some stones that I think can be really helpful to help strengthen our energy field so that we can effectively maintain balance within our chakras, within the layers of our aura. Keep in mind, however, that as human beings, we go in and out of balance all the time. Our skin has a different frequency and vibrational rate than our bones, than our blood, than our hair, right? And so it isn't consistently going to be able to be balanced all the time. Yet, with the work we do, and here you're listening to this live crystal Q&A, you're learning how you can work with gemstones and crystals to be able to be supportive for you. It's almost as if it becomes part of your self-care practice. Just like you might want to get out and walk, you might want to get on a bike, you might want to lift some weights, you might want to eat well, get enough sleep. You also are introducing and learning how to work with crystals and gemstones to also help you navigate life. So the stones that I think can be really helpful for strengthening the energy field, well, first of all, it's going to be stones that resonate with the earth element. And I'm just eyeballing what I have here with me. I do have some earth stones. We'll talk about those later. But for sure, anything with the earth element resonance is going to be helpful. And two stand out for me tonight. One is jet. So jet, here's a piece of jet. It's very light. It's fossilized coal. And it is very, very effective in helping to stabilize and strengthen the energy field. And then that helps us recognize that we have a better sense of what's ours and what's not ours. So when I hear people talk about, I need to protect my energy, I have a coworker who just wants to suck my energy and I feel so totally depleted. I just need to have a stone that's going to help me with that. So I'll usually back the truck up a little bit and we'll take a look at what self care looks like in general. And then we're going to take a look at how to strengthen the energy field. And certainly working intentionally with gemstones and crystals will do the trick. So if I'm working with this piece of jet and I'm just going to hold it in my hand when I have to be with this person and things seem like they're still in a tailspin, it's very likely that I'm not intentionally working with this stone. Rather, am I perhaps relying on the stone to fix the problem? So when it comes to working intentionally with the stone, it means we are learning to be responsible for what we can do and where our responsibilities lie and where they don't, where we can kind of separate. And perhaps that means going back to a piece of demortierite, because this is going to help to give voice so that perhaps if I'm the person feeling like this, the one who wrote the question, maybe I begin to feel a little bit more sure of myself to be able to express myself in a way that is not mean, but it is caring for myself and the other person. So working with jet can be really effective. What we want to do when we are strengthening our energy field is to make a connection with the earth itself. Not just an idea, but really connecting with the earth itself. And this, for example, might be, if you're having difficulty with this or curious about how to do that, that's the time you may want to reach out to me for either a mentoring session or a crystal healing session so that we can explore ways to integrate working with the stones and crystals with your own energy practice. Now, another stone that I think is beautiful in helping to really reestablish a wobbly energy field is bloodstone. Now, bloodstone is also referred to as heliotrope. You might see it that way as well. It's so nurturing and protective. Think of, I love the green. It's like this deep moss green. So imagine the earth just really wraps its beautiful green, nurturing, protective kind of maternal loving energy around us, just like a mother would. You know, a mother would protect her child. A mama bear is going to protect her cub. This is an example with the bloodstone of this really deep, nurturing, stabilizing, and strengthening frequency that can come in when working with this particular kind of stone. I just want to show you another piece that I brought along. I do like working with the smaller stones, you know, large stones like here. I've got this nice piece of calcite just hanging out with us today. Yet these smaller pieces of gemstones and crystals that I like to work with are specifically because they can be laid on or around the body very easily. They can be slipped into a pocket. They can be slipped inside a pillowcase. They can be held gently if you're on the phone with somebody or you want to offer a stone to somebody who's having some troubles. You know, we've heard about these beautiful little flat worry stones. Well, these can be worry stones too. So the bloodstone and the jet would be two recommendations for me to protect. I'm going to do baby air quotes. So it's okay to use that word just as long as we know we're not protecting ourselves from any kind of energy that's not helpful. What we're doing is learning to stabilize our own energy field so that we are energetically stronger and more balanced. Because ultimately, the stronger energy is going to invite any of the other weaker energies up to match its frequency. And so, for example, if you have a very loud, balanced energy field, anybody who's having a difficult time is actually going to automatically balance and align more with your energy field than their own because you are louder vibrationally. And that is called entrainment. It's a physics term, and it's a process through which it's kind of like the squeaky wheel gets the grease, okay? In this case, the loudest energy field, others are going to kind of match. So if you're feeling strong, you're feeling balanced, but not a whole lot, perhaps your energy field will shift into that of another person that has a different rate of vibration simply because you are not as loud. So working with gemstones and crystals that offer that protective, nurturing, strengthening quality to your energy field is exactly what you need to be able to shore up your own areas within your energy field that are a little wobbly. And we've all got them. And again, we go in and out of balance all the time. So it's okay. Then just do a course correction and get right back on track. Okay, good. All right, this question actually came in just after we were winding things up last month, so I want to make sure that I am able to visit with this question. I am really curious about fluorite. It's so pretty and has so many colors. What can you tell me about it? Well, fluorite really is a wonderful stone. It's one that I really like to work with. In fact, I'm even wearing fluorite today. Fluorite is a stone that is a cubic structure, which means that if we were to look at it microscopically, we would see little cube isometric patterns. And this is a piece of purple fluorite, and you may be able to see some of these cubed isometric shapes. This is how the stone grows. And so when, for example, this one I keep at my healing space, my healing office, and it's intentionally there to help bring clarity into the work that I do with my clients and my students. So when you have gemstones and crystals that you may have displayed around you, some of them can just be there because they're beautiful. And some of them you may actually connect up with in a real partnership way. And that's what I've done with this particular piece of fluorite. And if you're not sure of exactly how to do that, I have a video about how to work with stones. And it's just a kind of a few steps that can help you get a better sense of how to do the work that we're being called to do when we start getting inspired to work with gemstones and crystals. Fluorite is a wind element stone, just like the iolite and the dumortierite that we talked about earlier, which means it's going to be working in these upper chakras. And it is very wonderful at helping to take chaotic, kind of muddled energy and get things kind of cleared out and kind of moving in the right direction again. Not all imbalanced or dysregulated energy is like not helpful and we need to get rid of it. That's not the case. What it is, though, is that it may need support getting rebalanced. There's that balance word again. So getting rebalanced so that the energy can flow more effectively through our chakras and then through our physical body as well. So I wanted to show you some examples that I have available. And here is a piece that I actually work with in my healing practice. I wanted to show you it. It's a piece of both kind of a green and a white fluorite. Fluorite comes in all the colors of the rainbow. Think of it that way. Here again, you can have a really good representation of the cubic structure. I just love this one. And while I have various pieces of fluorite that I work with clients for crystal healing sessions, I love it when this one wants to do the work. There's just something special about this one. And so that's a piece of more of a green-white fluorite. Here is a purple fluorite, and it's shaped like a heart. So one of the things you'll notice that sometimes you'll find gemstones and crystals that have been shaped if the stone can tolerate being shaped, and most stones can. And so then what you're going to be doing is you're going to be working with both the properties of the stone as well, and you're also going to be working with the properties of the shape. So this purple fluorite, purple going to be the top crown chakra, which tends to be violet. Sometimes it's white. So you can see in this piece of fluorite, we've got the white. This could be very effective also working up in that very top chakra. So this heart-shaped piece of fluorite brings the clarity and the organizing of the discombobulated energy up in that brain space, up in those upper chakras. And so it brings that to the table, so to speak. And then you've got this beautiful purple bringing in the hues of that wisdom and that divine knowing that comes in and drops in through that upper chakra when we are able to have a balanced crown chakra, and opens up to receive that higher spiritual knowing, that higher insight, that wisdom that certainly is beyond our day-to-day personality wisdom. So those are a couple ways that you can work with fluorite. Fluorite, often you will find it in the shape of an octahedron, naturally occurring. And again, this is almost like a pale lavender, isn't it? Almost, could be a little pink in there. As I mentioned, fluorite comes in all the colors of the rainbow. And in fact, there is a particular type of fluorite called rainbow fluorite because it actually comes out of a vein of fluorite that represents all those various colors. So here are a couple examples. Here's got deep greens and purples and creams, some white and even some clear. And here also is the rainbow fluorite that is almost all white. You will find rainbow fluorite that may only be green, that may only be white, that may not necessarily have a multiple number and variety of hues within the stone that you have. It's still rainbow fluorite. It simply was pulled from that particular part of that rainbow collection of colors. So I enjoy working with fluorite. It is a wonderful stone to be able to bring some calming to the mind. And also, fluorite is about a 4 on the Mohs hardness scale. So it is kind of on the soft side. We have talc is 1, and then selenite is 2, and then we have calcite is 3, and then we have fluorite is 4. So it's pretty much on the soft side, which means it's going to get nicked up and knocked around if you throw it in a drawer with a lot of other rocks. So let's not do that anyway, right? So good. So that's that question. Checking the chat. All right. This next question is a fun one. And it is, what is a crystal wand? Well, I love wands. I got to admit, I'm a Harry Potter fan, so I like working with wands, okay? There's something about extending the energy, extending what already is taking place within us and within, in this case, the stone, and extending it outward. So I wanted to show you some examples of some crystal wands and explain a little bit more about how you could work with them, okay? And the first one I want to show you, I'm just reaching down. This is a piece of quartz, silicon dioxide. It's a 7 on the Mohs hardness scale. So if I put this in with the fluorite and did a scratch, it's going to make a scratch on the fluorite. That's how it's determined. Each incremental number up means that the stone with the higher number will scratch the stone with the number that's less than it. So this is a Lemurian crystal, and the Lemurians are formed in a particular way, and they have ridges, and it is said that by some that the ridges actually hold encoded knowings, messages. And so you don't have to believe that, and you can believe that. So this is Lemurian quartz, and I use this one in my healing practice. And what it is really good at doing is helping to direct the energy. So I will often either point it towards, let's say, a knee. Let's say your knee is really bothering you and you're visiting me, and we're going to do some energy healing around that knee, and we're going to work with crystals as well. I may very much work with this wand to really amp up and amplify the energy that is flowing through the energy treatment that you're receiving, and working with the crystal to be able to amplify those energies. Likewise, because the energy will flow off the tip of your wand, and this is called the termination, we could put this blunt end right up actually against your knee with the intention, and here's that word intention again. I use that a lot in my videos, so you'll probably get tired of hearing that. But we can set the intention and work with those energies that are kind of bogged down and stagnant in that knee area, and help with the support of this particular wand to be able to kind of direct those off your body. So when we're working with physical issues, the physical issue is really an energetic issue. It's just that the energy of our physical body doesn't move very fast. And so, for example, I'm going to use a migraine headache as an example. If I get a migraine headache, the energy disruption that was in my energy field and was in my chakras that was already out of balance, because it didn't get cleared either by maybe I'm too stressed, maybe I'm overworked, maybe I'm not sleeping well, whatever it was that led to that imbalanced energy, if that does not get cleared out, it will eventually slow down enough that it manifests physically. And now I have a migraine headache. I reference that because if we're working with this Lemur point, this wand, and we're working with a knee that's sore, that energy around that knee, that dysregulated energy that is now painful, needs to kind of in reverse order shift off, which means we're going to clear it energetically, and this is going to help us. And because it was physically manifest, the symptoms will they'll typically hang around a little while, even though what we're doing is we're really clearing the energy field around it. And so working with wands is a great way to direct the energy to do so. We just got done talking about fluorite. Here, I wanted to show you this. Here is what's often referenced as a fluorite tower. You can see it has been shaped by hand to have points, 6 sides, yet, where did our fluorite go? We know that fluorite is isometric. It's going to naturally be found in squares. So this has been artificially tapered, and I like it because 2 things happen. One, I can set it here with the intention that its properties are being directed up and out. I can also use it in a healing session to be able to, again, very much like I did with the Lemurian quartz, work with it directionally so that the energy goes out the point and is directed towards the person, towards the energy field. Maybe I have that headache, right? I have that migraine. I don't really want to put more energy in. Maybe I'm sensing that I want to help dissipate some of that energy so I can work with a wand in this case to be able to dissipate. So that's an example of how to work with a wand that would be with fluorite. So again, we're combining the shape of the stone, just like we were talking about with the heart fluorite. So we're working with the shape as well as the properties of the stone itself. Here is a piece of calcite. Now, calcite is a fabulous stone for clearing the energy field. This is kind of a white and honey calcite, and calcite is a fire element stone. It may, sometimes you'll see it in different colors, which means you might have some other minerals which are inviting other elements as well. But this one is pretty much going to be a fire element wand. And again, the same way. Maybe I'm going to hold it almost like a marker and just find myself kind of drawing maybe some spirals over that area. You're not necessarily a trained crystal healer, but that does not mean you cannot pick up a wand, set the intention that you want to work on that tendonitis in your elbow, point that wand, and let your inner healer guide you as to how you're working with the stone. You will get a sense if you're going to point towards or if you're going to direct it away. Now, this particular stone does have two ends, doesn't it? It's got this one here and this one here. So you get to decide which one do you want to have as your point. Okay, that's an example again. What is a stone and then working with the shape. Here's a piece of blue kyanite. Blue kyanite resonates with the storm element. It is all about transformation. It's also an amazing stone to balance all the chakras. So this could be that you want to work with this one. And again, you can see that this end has a little bit perhaps more of a point. This is a little bit more blunt, but you get to decide which end you want to work with. And this particular stone is just an amazing stone to work with throughout the entire energy field because it is so good at balancing all the chakras. Here's another example of a wand. This wand is lapis lazuli. Now, lapis lazuli is an amazing wind element stone that works with the brow particularly. It is about insight. It is about clarity. It is about inviting in the aha, I see what's going on here type of realization that really that's what we're looking for when we are working with healing. We may have, let's go back to the migraine again, okay? We may have a migraine. This being a wind element stone, maybe I want to work with this to help clear my migraine, and the indigo within this particular lapis lazuli aligns with the indigo within that brow chakra, and it really can help us begin to get the aha, I have an idea why I keep getting migraines. So it's taking our healing, taking our well-being, kind of taking the reins back and being really honest with what's going on within our life. And gemstones and crystals are ways that can support us. Remember that crystal healing is a complementary and alternative healthcare practice. It does not replace going to a healthcare provider if you are not well. And it can be really helpful for supporting you when you're moving through any kind of healthcare treatment that you may require. Sometimes we get sick with cold. Sometimes we get sick with COVID. Sometimes we hurt our foot. Sometimes we throw our back out. And so we have physical and we have non-physical issues that we deal with, and crystal healing can help. The other thing I really like about lapis lazuli is it's a wonderful bridge between those higher spiritual realms and the heart. So it could be that you are really wanting to work with a wand. You're wanting to work with lapis, and you may not have a lapis wand. I have an idea for you. If you can get a piece of quartz, in this case, I just grabbed this one, but it could be any kind of quartz, and a piece of lapis. Now, I don't have lapis with me, but I'm going to just pick something up here. We're going to pretend that this piece of carnelian is a piece of lapis. Put the two together so that you're actually bringing the energies of the carnelian right up to your quartz. Now you've got the quartz that's amplifying the properties. In this case, it would be lapis, and allowing that with intention to move down through that clear quartz wand and send those properties of the lapis down through the quartz so that you can benefit from them. So I think that when we think of it, when we think of working with wands this way, we don't have to run out and buy 10 wands in case we need one for this, that, and the other thing. Having a really nice piece of crystal, clear quartz, rock crystal can be really an effective way to work with that wand shape and then supplement that with some of the different stones you want to work with. There's one other wand I wanted to show you, and this is Septarian. So within Septarian, we have some chalcedony, which is a form of quartz. We have orange calcite, super fiery. We also have aragonite, which is a kind of earth stone. And so when I work with this particular wand, this also I work with in my healing practice. I will be working with the properties of the Septarian, particularly helpful in those bottom three chakras, the root, sacral, and solar plexus. And then also working again with the shape. So use it directionally. This is the termination point, that point through which the energy flows, or are we going to direct it away? So I hope that that answered that question as to what is a crystal wand. Some wands, I brought one that I kind of put together for the kids that come to see me just for fun. And I took a tiny little piece of selenite, and then I took tiny little pieces of red jasper and carnelian and yellow jasper, green aventurine, dyed howite. A howite is a wind element stone that's white. And if you see turquoise, unless it's true turquoise, which is hard to find, right? There's a lot of turquoise out there available, but it's a little pricey. So if you find something called turquoise and it's really inexpensive, I can assure you it is dyed howlite. And there's nothing wrong with the dyed howlite. It's just that you want to know that you're working with the howlite and not turquoise. So anyway, you've got the dyed howlite, you've got amethyst here, and then I have a little piece of clear quartz. So the kids like it. And I just have little pieces of kind of putty to hold them on there. But it's a little something for them to look at. But this also can actually be used as a wand. And sometimes you will find wands with various types of other chakra stones that have been tied and wired in and embedded into the stones as well. So that's a bit about how to work with crystal wands, and I hope that that was helpful. So this next question, and I know this one has come up before, and so I wanted to revisit it. Does the size of the stone matter? Yes and no, okay? It depends what you're working with the stone for. And I brought a couple of pieces of fluorite to show you, and then we're going to talk a little bit more. So here is another piece of, put it right down here, of a fluorite octahedron, kind of a green color, right? So we can work with this stone and hold it, meditate with it, sit with it, look at it, and just be quiet and allow it to inform us as we connect and begin to develop a relationship with this particular type of stone, what it has to teach us. So that is a wonderful way to work with this particular stone. This also is a tiny little fluorite octahedron, okay? Obviously very tiny, delightful. I love these guys. The kids love these guys. And if I want to sit and work with this stone and get to understand it, learn its properties, be quiet so I can learn what it has to teach me and how I will work with it in relationship with it for healing, this is fabulous. Both of these I can do that with equally well. In fact, this one I will definitely get a different sense than I will this one, even though they're the same species, so to speak, even though they're pretty much even the same color, the same shape, just like people are different sizes and colors and shapes, we all have nuances, we all have our own personalities. My sense over the years of working with gemstones and crystals is that there are nuances to them as well. So each of these we'll have a different experience with. Now, so size doesn't matter in that case. Yet size does matter, okay? If I want to work with both of these at the same time to balance, let's say, the left and right side of my body, then I would say it's going to be helpful, more effective, if I either have two this size or two this size, okay? Because we want to, when we're working on balancing, to have stones that are more or less the same size, the same mass, the same weight. Let me think here. Look at this. If I want to work with this piece of fluorite and this piece of fluorite individually, it's going to be fine. If I want to have one in one hand and one in the other to balance my energy field, it's just not going to work. It's just, the size is just too different. So I hope that that kind of answers that question. I wanted to show you another example here. I have a couple pieces. This is a piece of red calcite, just like this was calcite and this is calcite. The red calcite, again, fiery. This also has some earth resonance because it's got some minerals that bring it into that darker reddish color. And so what we're going to find is that this is going to be really helpful for a fiery kind of grounding, as well as this piece of red calcite. It's going to do the same thing, but if we're working with both of those pieces of red calcite at the same time, it's just not going to be effective. So it's either both this size or both this size. So I hope that answers that question. Okay, good. So does size matter? Yes, and not always. So in our final few minutes, I actually have time. I did bring some calcite. I talked about it last month, that I would show you some of the fun pieces that I was able to find when I was in Denver. And this is an example. This I just wanted to show you is a beautiful piece of red and white calcite. And if you're curious what I have available, you can check out my online shop. Another way you can do it, if you're really looking for something particular, just connect with me and we'll set up a video shopping time so that you can pick out what you want and see what I've got. So there were some wonderful pieces of calcite. This is my new best friend, okay? And so when I saw this, I just thought this was incredible, the way the calcite was able to form in this beautiful cluster. So this sits in my healing office when I'm not doing a live crystal Q&A, with the intention of calling forth its healing properties, and sending those into the space to be able to support the healing and the mentoring and the learning that takes place within that space. Calcite comes in a lot of colors too. It comes in greens, it kind of comes in honey color like this. Here is an example of a piece of blue calcite. I was able to actually work directly with the person who owns the mine. And so I was able to find a great vendor now that is just like first degree. Zebra calcite is an amazing stone that, while again we've got the fire, it also has this transformational energy that takes place with all the different layering, and this aligns with the storm element. Here's a smaller piece that's available. I'm showing you some of what's available if you're curious about that, okay? And then there's this other piece that I just also fell in love with, and it is this beautiful kind of multicolored piece. It's got white, it's got some red, it's got these greens. It's just gorgeous. So I did want to let you know that the calcite, which is fire, it is about clearing. It is about really being able to bring that fiery clearing property into various chakras, particularly because it comes in so many colors. It's just a really wonderful stone to work with. So I was able to, in our last couple minutes, be able to bring calcite into the mix. So we've had some good conversations. We talked first and foremost about somebody's a writer and they're stuck. And how do you get those energies flowing? And we decided that perhaps working with those, we talked about how to work with those energies of fire and wind and bringing in some stones to do that. That worked well. We talked about what it means to protect ourselves. What we're really meaning is strengthen our energy field. So whenever you feel like you're in need of protecting your energy, what you're really in the need of is strengthening your energy field. We talked about some stones to work with that. We explored fluorite. We had a chance to look at some of the calcite. And then we also took a look at a variety of wands that you can work with. Some of the wands are nature made, and some of them are hand polished and shaped, and yet they all are able to work with that directional flow of energy, either towards the body or away from the body, either towards the energy field or away from the energy field. And so I hope that if you have any wands that you will begin to work with them. I would love to hear how it is that you're working with them and what you're noticing. Because more than anything, when you're working with gemstones and crystals, it's about what your experience is, not what mine is, not what a book says, not what you find online. It's your experience. And then we also talked about the size of the gemstones and when it matters and when it's not that significant. So again, I hope that you were able to get a better sense about that. I want to take just a couple seconds to just tell you a little bit about my online school, the Center for Crystalline Healing Studies. It is a school that I rolled out during COVID because we simply could not meet in person for all of the classes that I offered. And I really decided that this blended model is a wonderful way to help you to be able to, in your busy lives and in your schedule, work in the course content and then still get the mentoring, get that one-on-one conversation to help you put the pieces together. So from energy healing and Reiki to crystal healing, as well as both crystal healing for beginning and also advanced crystal healing. I have a crystal healer mentorship class as well as a full certification program. So take a look at those links below this video. Next month, I am going to be offering this live crystal Q&A on Wednesday, November 15th. That's going to be from 6 to 7 p.m. And that will be the final one for the year. I paused during December because all of our lives are very, very busy during the holiday time. And so please plan to touch back in with me on November 15th. It's been wonderful having a chance to talk rocks with you again. I encourage you to take a look at my other videos. If you haven't seen my Rock Talk videos, please check those out. Those are about 5 or 6 minute videos about a variety of different stones. So you can begin to kind of build your understanding of how to work with gemstones and crystals. And bottom line, I'm going to say it one more time, it's your experience with the stones that matters. And so I really invite you to explore the crystal healing. Reach out if you have questions. You can send me a chat through my website. You can send me an email. I'm more than happy to answer your questions. For now, I am so grateful you had a chance to spend some time with me. Many blessings. Be well.